I was going to tell you is, hey, look, when you left WWE, you'd never really been, you'd never been an independent scene before that, right?
No, I mean, I had seen just glimmers of it, just a little glimpse
Sure.
when Dusty did his
Turnbuckle Championship Wrestling?
Yeah, Turnbuckle Championship Wrestling and his farewell tour with, going around the kind of the southern states. So I'd only ever seen that. I'd never been on an independent myself. I went straight to the WWE developmental when I got hired. So yeah, never been on one until I left.
So that being said, when you're in the WWE, even if you had an independent experience, once you've been in WWE for a while, you get caught up in that like there's nothing else but WWE. And
sure,
yeah, and especially if you didn't know the landscape, Cody, like there must have been a certain amount of fear, like of the unknown of what you were getting into. Maybe is that safe to say?
Yeah, I think I had a lot of time to prep. Yeah. I was just not happy for quite some time, and I wanted to not do anything knee-jerk. So I kind of field tested all the resources I had. Kevin Owens, for example, was somebody that I must have asked 800,000 questions about everything from how travel is different, from where to ask for more, where to not worry about the money, where's, an absurd amount of questions with the timing of the opponents, you name it, and presentation, all that. So I had a lot of time to prepare. There was definitely this feeling of fear, but I have this rule that if it doesn't scare you, it's not an adventure.
Amen.
And, it's been a hell of an adventure.
Yeah, and the thing is, and this is why I love what you're naming your guys' show in Chicago, All In, is that you're all in on yourself. And even though a lot of people doubted you when leaving, I can tell that you didn't have any self-doubt whatsoever, maybe, huh?
No, I definitely wasn't doubting. I guess the word would be my skill set.
Yeah.
I had the worst thing that could have happened to me at WWE wasn't that I was unhappy with the last few years. The worst thing that happened to me was that I had gotten so close to creative happiness in the years prior to that, in the 2010 and 11. I mean, literally, like fingers on the brass ring, and in my eyes, I thought I had grasped it. So that was worse than the last 2 years, knowing I had gotten a taste, and I just could never get that taste out of my mouth. I was addicted to, wanting to be close to, wanting to be on top there. I never wanted to be anything but. So I didn't doubt my skill set, but I will say I definitely, took a deep breath the first time I saw some of the bigger names on the independent scene and what they're capable of. Because there's some talented folks out there. It's some mind-blowing stuff.
Yeah. When you were, so you felt like there was just no more upward mobility for you at that point in WWE?
I felt like there was nothing I could do within WWE. Some of my friends who have, they've been yo-yo, they've been up, they've been down. Some of my friends there, they're real hard workers, and they're of the impression that, hey, I'll just work hard and I'll get to the top. I don't think wrestling is necessarily a fair business.
That's right.
Where the hard work equates to getting to the top. I think you have to work smart versus work hard, and if you can do both, even better. Yeah. I just felt WWE Stardust at the time, there was no heartbeat for me. None.
Gotcha.
And NXT also was a huge inspiration for me to leave, because NXT is just Hunter's independent scene. It's amazing. He hand-plucked all these great buzz-worthy talents and had them fight against each other, and it those were the guys that were getting the attention of the crowd, that capturing their imaginations. And I was very inspired by NXT. I know it doesn't sound like that makes sense then to leave WWE, but that's what it did. It was seeing those guys who already had a brand, who already had buzz, and having built their things, and then all they had to do was polish up, and they were ready to go. So, yeah, no, it was something I had to do.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
You spoke about talking with Kevin Owens and getting knowledge from him about the indies. Besides the Young Bucks, have you learned anything from any independent wrestler coming back to the indies that has taught you something that you didn't know before?
I have an expression, Matt and Nick will tell you, I think it annoys the hell out of them, but I always say it. I get real antsy when I'm not working, and I always say I got to be bumping and learning. I've got to be bumping and learning. Right now I just can't be anywhere but in the ring. I gotta be working. And with that said, I've learned a ton of various things, a myriad of things from the independent scene, from the opponents I've had. I wrestled Kurt Angle on the independent scene. I also wrestled a guy like A.R. Fox on the independent scene. I learned something every match. The biggest thing I've learned, the biggest takeaway, is to get out of my damn comfort zone.
Yes.
And that isn't, it's not even just in wrestling. It's in funny backstage segments. It's in interviews. It's getting out of my comfort zone. Not always is it a success, but I can't get stuck in any one way. I can't get stuck. Right when we started talking, you mentioned that all there is WWE bubble. Yeah. That bubble exists in every company, big or small. ROH, there's a bubble. New Japan, there's a bubble. I try to make my brand no bubble because it's too easy to get caught up in one style and one way. They're really, to find how you want to play your music, you've got to listen to a lot of different types of music, I guess.
Well, Cody, you mentioned working smart, not being in your bubble and all of that. So I wanted to know, how did you come up with the idea of the list of guys you wanted to face after your 90-day no-compete clause was over?
The list fell in my lap in a really great way where, like I said, I had time to prep. I also was, I don't think it's illegal, but I was also already talking to a lot of the more high-profile independent places. Northeast Wrestling is one, for example, and we were already talking about potential matches. Opponents had been talked to, and it was shaping up in kind of this dream. There were names on there, names like, Chris Hero, Adam Cole, Kurt Angle. There were these names on there, and it just looked like a dream list already. So I figured, why don't we just put the ones we have already pretty much pinned to paper, booked? Why don't we put them down on paper, and then why don't we put the other ones who I am also interested in? I wanted, you mentioned the bubble. I wanted to show the audience I'm not worried about the bubble anymore. I want to go into all different places. The funny thing about the list also is I wrote it once, and it looked so terrible because my handwriting is just pathetic, that I had Brandy, I had my wife. The actual list that made it to that viral tweet was Brandy's handwriting. So you can put it all on her.
Has the experience outside WWE been everything that you wanted to be, or has it exceeded your expectations in any sort of way?
Definitely has exceeded my expectations, because I don't really even know what my expectations were. I think a lot of folks, the game plan might be, all right, go away, get hot, come back. I don't know if that was ever my game plan, but now I've ended up in a situation where I'm self-financing an arena show. There are all these third-party sponsorships that I don't have a middleman like a WWE in between us and them anymore. Now I can't even give myself expectations because our whole wrestling world, at least in my opinion, is changing like into something it hasn't been before. It's a really great time to be a wrestler and to be a wrestling fan. I mean, I like to tell people the world is a lot smaller now because you can see everything at the drop of the hat. You can watch Ring of Honor on the Honor Club. You can watch WWE on the network. Bam, everything is accessible, and no longer are you only limited to X amount of wrestlers,